Hey everybody, good afternoon. This is Ask Me Anything. My name is Dustin Strong, and this is where we answer all your questions about your health. Today we're going to talk about stubborn weight loss. We're going to talk about endometriosis, and we're going to talk about estrogen dominance. And estrogen dominance is going to be the thing that's going to tie all of this together to answer your questions. If you guys have questions, please email them to us at info@strongandhealth. This is where we can answer them for multiple people out there instead of just for one person at a time, and give you some opportunities to see things in a different light so you can take control over it. And the reason we're starting with endometriosis is because we've been told, or we've heard from many people, and many people who would have some measure of medical authority or health authority, saying that there's nothing you can do about it, saying that, in fact, if you look it up, that the cause is unknown, and so there's no real treatment for it. So we don't aim to treat things here at all. What we try to do is help people understand why it's happening. And the first thing you have to accept and understand is that there's always a reason that something's happening in your body. It's not just because your body's decided to just fall apart, or that your body's just decided that it doesn't want to do this anymore. There's things happening. And so what is endometriosis? And last night we were at Yes and Yoga. Yes and Yoga is a great program on Amazon Live, by the way. If you haven't checked it out yet, go to Amazon Prime and look for Yes and Yoga. I'm in episode 6 and 9, talking about digestion and breathing. So please check it out, download it, and share that with as many friends as you can. It's a great program. But we had questions from the audience, and one young lady asked me about endometriosis. So endometriosis is where you get a thickening of the uterine lining. You get problems with excess growth in your tissues, and female reproductive tissue is particularly sensitive to hormones, specifically estrogen. Okay, so one thing we have to be aware of is that we tend to have excess exposure to estrogen in general in our society today. We're getting it from multiple sources. We're getting it from the fact that so many people are being given hormones. We're getting it from the fact that it's being injected into animals that we are consuming to fatten them up, to grow them. And so this is an important thing to understand. Estrogen is a grower. So that's what it's doing. It's growing excess tissue in that area for a woman. So you're getting a thickening of that lining. You're getting a lot of excess tissue. So estrogen is one thing we have to be aware of that is creating that condition. So the next thing has to be, what can we do about that? But first I want to tie that into so many people telling me that they have stubborn weight loss. I got a text from a very good friend this morning saying, hey look, I've given up alcohol mostly for 30 days. I have stopped eating after 8 o'clock, and I don't eat until noon, and I still haven't lost a single pound. So this is why this is important, and you have to understand that just eating healthy, there may be aspects that aren't supporting your body's ability to balance your hormones. And when it comes to weight loss, estrogen has to be part of the equation now, or at least understanding it, because everybody's being exposed to it at some level. I can go on and on and on about how and when and what, but just take my word for it on this one or look it up. Estrogen dominance is something that's happening to a lot of us. Now, I'm going to talk about how once the estrogen's in there, why we're having a problem with the dominance, because we're not clearing the estrogen. And so this is going to apply to both people who are struggling with things like endometriosis. It's also going to struggle with people who are struggling with weight loss. Because like we said, what are they doing to fatten those cows up? They're putting estrogen in them. So it is a grower. And I want to remind all of you, it is such a grower that 70% of all breast cancers are estrogen receptor positive breast cancers. So it's growing cancer. It is a grower. So we have to be mindful of the fact that there's an appropriate amount of it, and we are not getting exposed to an appropriate amount. It is inappropriate. It's excessive. So what do we do about this? Now there's 4 things we have to think about when it comes to estrogen in the body, and here's where we're having the problem. There's 4 opportunities for us to screw this up, and that's why we are having problems losing excess weight and having problems that are all the result of these excess estrogen. Number 1 is the last stop before the estrogen leaves the building, because there is a process that this goes through. Your hormones go through an actual sequence of events, and the end result is the estrogen leaving the building. The estrogen leaves the building via fiber in your bowels primarily, okay? And now in women, of course, you have another way of getting rid of excess estrogen, but primarily we're looking at it leaving through the bowels, and you need a lot of fiber for that. I'm going to put a link below to a nutritionfacts.org video that shows that the reduction of risk in breast cancer goes down to almost 0 at 40 grams of fiber a day. So when we look at that, we have to go, well, why would that be? Possibly it has to do with the fact that we're removing one of the major contributing factors to breast cancer, estrogen. So we're making sure we're having bowel movements daily. That has to be one of the number one things. So let's back up the next part of the chain. So as your body's going through these conversions, you've got this last end state of it, and I don't need to get into the details of what it is, but in order for that portion to get converted, we need things like cruciferous vegetables. You have to have broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, bok choy, things that are going to help you with the conversion of these hormones. There are different things happening within your liver that are going to help you do that, and you have to make sure it is supported with certain aspects of the chemistry that is coming from these vegetables to help you to be able to make that happen. So number one, number two, if people aren't getting enough fiber or their bowels just aren't moving and they're not getting enough of these cruciferous vegetables, we've got two reasons why the estrogen that is already in the equation is piling up and going higher and higher and higher. Now, the higher this goes, the more it suppresses other hormones. The more we're getting a suppression of testosterone. Testosterone being the fat-burning hormone, the one that gives us strength, that gives us purpose, gives us drive, gives us energy. I just had a phone call with one of my clients today in California, and she was explaining to me that now that we're getting the testosterone back up where it is, she feels better all the time, much more energy, much more strength, because that's what it's doing for her, helping her feel more vital. So if we have too much estrogen, too much of that, we got two reasons why we already have too much of it. Now, there's another thing that is essential for specific conversions of these hormones as they're being motivated out and moved along, hi there, and has to do with the receptor cells, and it's iodine. Iodine is actually very important when it comes to balancing the hormones. Now, that's a very long story, but most Americans don't seem to be getting adequate amounts of iodine. They're getting enough to keep them from getting a goiter. They're getting enough of the basic amount to keep them out of a major disease state, but not necessarily enough to be recognizing all the aspects and needs of it. And when I tell anybody about this, one of the major things I want you to know is that there are international organizations that recognize if we all got enough iodine, our IQ would go up 15 to 30 points. So it's not just about hormones, it's about your mental health. Iodine is essential for every organ, cell, and tissue. And people aren't getting enough of it. So we got strike three. We've got not enough fiber, not enough cruciferous vegetables, and not enough iodine. And all of that is compiling and increasing this estrogen and growing fat and making it very hard for us to lose weight and growing materials and other aspects, especially feminine organs, and creating excess tissue there that can be a real problem with that. Now, am I saying 100% that all endometriosis is the result of estrogen dominance? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is that we should take a look at whether or not we are having some measure of balance in our hormones and take that into the equation and understanding how that could be contributing to that condition. And we also have to have a good functioning liver, okay? And we're doing all kinds of things that is putting pressure beyond what we should normally humanly expect our liver to do. And I know that some of us believe that we are some level of Superman, and I respect that, and you actually look really good in the outfit, you know who I'm talking to. But that doesn't mean that your liver is actually having superhuman capabilities. You have to be respectful of its human limitations. I'm sorry, I wish you really had superhuman liver, but you have to feed it. You have to give it those things to help with the conversions. There's multiple things happening in the liver all the time, getting rid of things, but if you're putting in more work for it to do than it was designed to do, it's not going to be able to effectively do the work that you're asking it to do when it comes to these hormones as well. So we got 4 things that are contributing that we're actively doing to increasing the estrogen. So we got to be paying attention to those. If you get those under control, you're going to have a lot more control over a lot of aspects of your health. It's not just going to be the estrogen, it's going to be everything else that your body needs that for. It's going to be everything that your body needs iodine for, everything your body needs those cruciferous vegetables for, everything your body needs fiber for. And it goes on and on and on. So look at those 4 things. So oftentimes I'll get people telling me, hey, I'm eating a healthy diet, I'm still not losing weight, and I don't mean to be mean when I say to them, I need to see what you mean by a healthy diet. Because a lot of times people will think that they're eating something like peanut butter and it's totally healthy, but then we look at the ingredients of that and there'll be things like hydrogenated oils in there. There'll be sugar in there. So when I ask you to share that information with me, what I'm saying is look, maybe I can see it with different eyes and help you identify something in there that's actually contributing to your problem. And if we remove it, it's going to make your life infinitely easier. So I invite you to share with me what your daily diet is so I can look at that, not in a mean way, not in a picking on you way, not in a way to say you don't know what you're doing, but in a way to find opportunities in there to make you healthier and stronger and make your whole health journey easier so that you're not getting frustrated with with the fact that you think you're doing everything right and you're just not getting the results, there's got to be something we're missing, and we're going to find it. So let's keep giving us that information. Okay, finally, I did want to mention, we did have a question last night about statin medications as well. One of the people in the audience were saying they're concerned about that. Now, I'm not going to go into too much great detail. I will talk longer at another time about cholesterol, but I do want to put a link below to a reference that I had suggested that they check out. It's called the NNT. The NNT is the numbers needed to treat. This is an international organization that looks at all the data and all the research, and they come to certain conclusions as to whether or not the benefits truly outweigh the risks. Now, I'm not saying that you should use this as a means to diagnose yourself or a means to make medical decisions, but I do think it's information that you should include in the conversation you have with your healthcare practitioner about whether or not you're making the right decision when it comes to these medications. You have to educate yourself on what they're doing and what your body needs and what your body doesn't need, and make sure you're including all the data, new data, not just old data, and what's actually happening in your body. Okay, any questions live right now?
No.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate that. Hope this is helpful. If you know anybody struggling with endometriosis who thinks that they've got to the end of their road and there's nothing they can do about it, please have them watch this video. Please share this with them. And if there's more questions that I can share with you about that, because there is more you can do when you can help increase your body's ability to respond to these conditions, let me know. I'll be happy to share even more information about that. But do not accept that something is just the way it has to be and there's nothing you can do about it. Anybody who tells you that has reached the end of their knowledge. That's it. That doesn't mean that your knowledge has to end there. There's always more that you can learn about beyond that. Same thing with stubborn weight loss. If you know somebody who's struggling and they think they're doing all the things right and they're still not getting that weight loss, please share this video with them, and please have them send more information and have them send me their diets. I'll be happy to go over it live so everybody can see that maybe this thing that we all thought would be good for us to lose weight is in fact working against us. Okay, thanks again, guys. Have a wonderful week. Tomorrow night, we are having a Facebook Live event where we're going to be broadcasting our Healthy This Way health talk. It's our kickoff event here in Mansfield where we're showing people the healthiest options at the local restaurants when you're eating out in Mansfield. So please keep your eyes open for that. It's going to be a great talk, and it'll be a great thing for the whole community. We're looking forward for you sharing that as well. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend.